Hello, Kriegspielers. Let's spend another few minutes with Moltke. This is Tactical Problem 31 from a book of 66 tactical problems presented to trainee officers of the Prussian General Staff. And these were collected up in a book, and they offer the problem and then Moltke or his senior officers, staff officers' solutions. So let's take a look at this with an eye for playing good Kriegspiel. Let me orient you to the map for problem 31. The city of Potsdam is to the east, and that's where the enemy is. The city of Magdeburg is to the west, and that's friendly. There are more friendly forces in Magdeburg. We are commanding a division that is trying to keep the enemy in Potsdam from disturbing the action in Magdeburg. So there are 5 locations on the map. Please look at Brandenburg, which is in the north center. That's a larger city, and that's where the action begins. Our division has pushed an enemy advance guard out of Brandenburg, right from the river there, and pushed that enemy back, and has left a detachment behind to destroy the bridges in the north to ensure the enemy can't return there. So the problem is, how will this division deploy in order to achieve its mission of protecting Magdeburg? Moltke says as part of the solution that the division will accept battle in Lenin, which is the area to the south where the question mark is, because the bridges are cut to the north and because there's a small force to the north. The enemy is expected to also accept our challenge in Lenin. So the problem set then is, how do you take that division and best deploy it? As I move to the next slide, please look at the question mark, and the perspective is going to shift so the question mark can keep you oriented. Now the question mark's in the middle of the map. The first thing that Moltke talks about in his solution is the terrain. So the starting point for all dispositions of forces is with the terrain. So what Moltke says, where the number 1 is, that the area between Lenin and Nemitz, north of that, are full of lakes and rivers, small seas, and deep ravines. And so a small force could hold that, therefore the enemy is likely not going to try to push through there. Where the number 2 is with the circle is more open ground, and it's more likely that the enemy is going to try to come down and turn our flank at the point of number 2. Therefore, with the fact that where the number 1 is difficult terrain and where number 2 is more advantageous for the enemy, they are probably going to take the route number 3 in red and try to turn our flank and push us north, which would then open up the road to Magdeburg, which we don't want. So the solution further goes on and says this is how we would take the division and spread it out to accomplish the mission. So first of all, Moltke points out that you should push cavalry out from Bliesendorf to Petzau. Now, Petzau is almost to the actual gates of Potsdam. So it's very, very long distance for those cavalry to go. So that's the first thing he says in his solution. And the second, he says the advance guard should take advantage of that rough terrain and try to slow the enemy down in that area there. So if we look at it from a Kriegspiel perspective, we identify where the enemy is with the cavalry and we slow them down with the advance guard. And the main body then accepts the battle further west. So we don't actually accept it in Lenin, we accept it down between Oberjünd and Mickelsdorf, knowing that they're going to want to push us north. So in order to make sure that we are not pushed north and we don't lose the ability to protect Magdeburg, we put a reserve detachment in Golzau that will protect that ability to retreat, and therefore one division is spread over a very large distance, so much so that these are the actual distances and the size of the forces in the solution. And there probably is not a Kriegspiel board that's ever had a deployment similar to this, so this is from the master. So first of all, between Bliesendorf and Petzau, he has a cavalry hussar regiment, and hussars are lighter, they're scouts. They contact the enemy and then report back. So the scouting regiment is out very deep, but in front of the advance guard, it's 16 kilometers, and in front of the main body, it's 21 kilometers out. So in Kriegspiel terms, that's 4 to 6 turns of movement to get them back along roads, and it's in good condition. So out very far, but they're light, and their intention is to identify where the enemy is and to inform the command of the enemy's progress. The advance guard is made up of a full regiment from the division and an artillery battery, and then the main body then is only a regiment and a half. So therefore, that advance guard clearly is meant to retreat back to the main body and act as kind of a shock absorber to slow the enemy down. So by the time the enemy reaches that open ground and tries to turn the flank, they've been tracked, they've been fought by the advance guard, and then of course the main body is there ready for them. What's interesting in Golzow, he puts half a regiment, a cavalry detachment of dragoons, and a battery of artillery. Now, dragoons are heavier cavalry, so they're more like mounted infantry, is a way to think about them. And then up in Brandenburg itself, there's a half a regiment, a cavalry dragoon force, as well as a battery of artillery there. So the spreading out of artillery for this period of time is interesting. And the sheer distance from the rear detachment in Golzow all the way up to where the front of the cavalry is, you're talking 26 kilometers, and all designed to keep that route of retreat clear and designed to work in coordination to move backward to make sure that they keep themselves between the enemy and Magdeburg. So this is the Field Marshal's solution to problem 31. As he would like to say, always improve and always keep studying these tactical solutions, and keep these in mind as you build pattern recognition and as you play better and better Kriegspiel. Hope you enjoyed the problem set. Thanks so much.